when you and I have been speaking many times on this show, did we trust Bob Ferguson, the new governor? Did you trust him when he said he wasn't going to be raising taxes? Did you trust him when he said...
No, I didn't trust him, but I said give him a chance.
Okay.
And I said verify, and we got verification good and hard yesterday. This man is not a moderate. He is a left-wing tax and spend guy. He told a bunch of different people a bunch of different times he wasn't going to sign these tax increases. And yesterday he looked like a guy at a payday loan shop who's hungry for $200. He was signing everything.
I like the fact that Tim Eyman was standing behind him.
Eyman photobombed him on the signing the bill to gut the Parents' Bill of Rights. And,
Okay.
that is not the last word on that issue. There's going to be a lot more on fighting for parents' rights in this state. I think the governor had a really bad day yesterday, John. I think he knew it. They cobbled together some haphazard press conference today to scream and yell about Trump and tariffs, because I think they knew yesterday was just a disaster for him, and they're trying to change the subject.
A disaster in who? But Jim Walsh, in whose eyes is it a disaster?
Well, all the people he lied to. I mean, the tax hikes he signed yesterday. It's the biggest business and occupation B&O tax ever. It's the biggest property tax increase ever. It's a new set of sales and excise taxes aimed right at the tech industry, which has been his supporter. Mm-hmm. So he kind of bit the hand that feed him yesterday. It was a horrible day for this guy. He raised gas and diesel tax. It's nuts. And he told people he wasn't going to do it, and he did it.
Yeah.
So, it's still, and Eyman being there in the early part of the day during that other signing, I think that really unnerved Ferguson. He was nervous and jumpy and twitchy, or nervous-er and jumpy-er and twitchy-er than usual all day long. It was a bad day for him.
Okay, so let's talk about the fallout from, as you're describing, a bad day for him. So from the constituents that he had told, I'm not going to raise taxes, don't worry about it, worry about this sort of stuff. So what's the fallout now? Does he start to lose support from the moderates? Does he lose support from the tech industry? What else? What's the card that falls now for him?
Yeah, I mean, initially it'll show up probably in polling. I mean, you can't, in public life, you can't say you're going to do something and then flagrantly not do it and pay no price for it. Now, this fella said he was going to be a bipartisan guy. He was going to be a moderate. He was going to be a fiscal, at least middle ground guy. And yesterday he just threw that all into the garbage can. I mean, he signed them all. Yeah. And he was very measured in what he'd said before. He said, I'm not going to sign X and Y and Z. He didn't commit to vetoing them. A lot of people thought he was going to veto at least one or two of those tax hikes. Didn't do that. But he said he wasn't going to sign them, and then he went and signed them all. I mean, you can't lie that flagrantly to people and spin it and pivot and blame Trump. It's just not going to work.
Well, Dory Monson, God rest his soul, I remember he played over and over again on his show. He had Inslee on, and he asked Inslee about raising taxes, and Inslee says, I'm going to get in there. I'm not going to raise taxes. And I think within the first 3 weeks or something like that, Inslee raised the taxes. And Dory played that cut all the time, right? So I think if Ferguson, however he decided to play it yesterday, or deciding not to veto this gigantic tax bill, it's the same sort of thing. Look, I'll just do it. People will forget about it after a while. The bullfrog in the water, won't really notice. But the downstream effects of this, we will go from I think we're 47th now in the United States for business friendly. We'll drop possibly to the bottom. And that will have an effect. We'll have businesses leave, just like we've had individuals leave because of taxes. Every single one of these will have an equal and opposite effect. And you'll start to see less and less revenue coming into the state of Washington. And then they'll just have to crank it up even more. They'll turn the temperatures up on all of us that are in this water. So what because Ferguson is smarter than Inslee, can he start to make some adjustments down the road?
Ferguson's got a higher IQ than Inslee, but I think Ferguson lacks some of the political skills. I mean, Inslee was a better retail politician than Ferguson is. But more than anything, Inslee was blessed with good timing. I mean, he had the time in his time as governor when the state's economy was still growing well into double digits. I'm talking about the general economy, not the government spending, and was just had some astounding growth years. And that was driven largely by the tech industry growth. And the trouble is, while Ferguson may be smarter, have a higher IQ than Inslee, he's come in at a time while the state's economy is still good, it's not as strong and not growing as fast as it was 10 years ago. So we're still okay. We're growing, but we're not growing like we were. And what Ferguson and Jamie Peterson and the other left-wingers in Olympia have done is they've kept the government spending growth at the same rate as it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the state's general economy was growing fast enough to cover that. Right now, it's not. The line's switched. The state government spending is growing faster than the general economy. That's the reason for all this talk of deficits and more financial trouble in Olympia. And yesterday, rather than putting the brakes on it a little bit, Bob Ferguson just drove off the cliff.
Let's talk away from money for just a second and the Parents' Bill of Rights, right? Which 450,000 some Washingtonians signed and wanting it to become law. They got in there and they ripped this thing apart. This is HB 1296. So now allows schools to delay parents from receiving information about their students, entirely removes access for parents receiving medical and mental health records, allows the government employees 48 hours to notify a parent if their child has been victim of a sex crime, sexually assaulted in school. I think this shocks the conscience of the court more than the taxes, because this directly affects the relationship between a parent and a child and puts the state in the number one position. What will happen now because of this?
This is far from over. There'll be another initiative to restore the Parents' Bill of Rights, and that will probably be as popular as the last one was. This is rigid left-wing ideology that the government, and in this case, the school district, has more ownership, control, input on a child's upbringing than the parents do. This is, there's no other way to say it. This is collectivism. This is Marxism. This is an attempt to de-emphasize the nuclear family and emphasize collectivism. And it is un-American. It runs against the foundation principles of our country and our state. And it's a losing issue in the long run. Now, the short run, the left wing thinks they're winning on this because they've got some government unions that support them in this, and they've got some left-wing judges that support them in this. But I'll remind you, John, the ACLU tried to get the Parents' Bill of Rights thrown out of court, claiming it was a poorly written initiative. Wrong. They lost that lawsuit, and the courts here held up the Parents' Bill of Rights as good law. So we can restore the Parents' Bill of Rights by initiative. And someone I talked to likened this to mowing your lawn. We're just going to have to keep going back. If they want to try to wreck nuclear families and healthy parents and kids, we'll just keep going back and reinstating it.
But you have to understand the nuclear family is it's based upon the patriarchal oppression where the father's in charge, the mother takes orders from the father, and then the parents are in charge of the kids. The autonomy of that child at the age of 13 is recognized in the state of Washington as being fully competent to make all decisions based upon their mental. I mean, is it not the most absurd thing? Because go ahead and try to get a tattoo, right, in the state of Washington. There's no tattoos for you because, let's face it, you can't possibly want to make that decision because it could affect you for the rest of your life. Or if you decide you want to kill somebody, we're not going to hold you necessarily responsible for the choice that you made because, your brain's not fully developed. But somehow, if you want to cut off your penis, the state of Washington will not only encourage that, it will pay for it and will keep the information from the parent. I mean, this is cuckoo town, Jim. It is cuckoo town. And
it's unifying non-traditional voters around conservative principles and conservative candidates. I mean, the left has gotten so arrogant in this state that they don't care if they splinter off groups that traditionally supported them. It's the same thing with the tech industry and Ferguson telling them to, take a hike. They're running off their core supporters because of their rigid ideology, and they're fighting with each other over who can be more ideological. And we see their primaries happening, and that idiot kid Hogg at the national level,
right,
telling really Marxist Democrats to primary moderate Democrats. I mean, and it's translating down to here in the 3rd congressional district. The sort of phony moderate congresswoman is being challenged by an absolutely unhinged, wild-eyed Marxist. They can't keep their coalitions together. And I mean, we're happy to come in and scoop up some of those good people who don't like how crazy the left has got.
Let's just talk with the time remaining. The $100 million that Ferguson said he really wants to spend to make sure that we've got more police on the streets. I was reading about it today. There's a whole bunch of strings attached to that haven't made sort of the mainstream media, whatever they're worth. The one of them in particular is a polygraph test that they're asking the sheriffs to take in order to be in line for the free money from the government.
This is a bait and switch. This is House Bill 2015, if people want to look it up. This was the last-minute effort to try to allow the governor to claim one of his campaign promises, which was that he was going to make $100 million available to hire new cops around the state. It's a complete bait and switch. It's a garbage proposal. What you mentioned, the loopholes that the local law enforcement are going to have to jump through to get any part of that money, yeah, that's a big part of it. There's mandatory training for things like de-escalation and community outreach, which by themselves don't sound that bad, but in the law enforcement context, they have a very specific left-wing meaning. And it's just a mess. It's a terrible thing. Oh, and the worst part, the $100 million isn't free money. Local jurisdictions have to agree to increase their local sales tax in order to qualify to get the money. So it's not even really free money. They're going to have to raise local taxes to offset for the state the cost of the $100 million. It's a disaster. It's a horrible thing. And it's the red foam nose on the clown makeup set that the current governor has applied to his face. It is an absolute joke. It is not good money coming down to local law enforcement. And the local cops, local police chiefs and sheriffs, they know it. They know it. It's a bait and switch. It's a scam. Some of them may try to get the money anyway because they want it, but I think you're going to see a lot of them say, we'll find other ways to fund our operations.
Right. So then the Ferguson and the rest can say, well, the money was available, but nobody took advantage of it. But
yeah,
because
exactly.
Right,
it's
because you have to raise the sales tax, I think, twice or something. Plus, you also have to take the polygraph. Plus, you also possibly have to open your social media so that they can go through if you're a sheriff. I spoke to a couple of people today, and they said there's no sheriff worth his salt or her salt is going to go along with this. So the money will just sit in the pot. Well, we tried, and they didn't want it, so that gives them the pass on this one. All right, so
yeah, we're not going to let that go, John. I mean, it's a bad faith deal, and they know it. And people trust cops. One of the lies that the progressive left tells itself is that people don't trust police officers and sheriff's deputies. The truth is, in the real world, people do. And when they see their local law enforcement getting jerked around like this, regular people don't like that. I mean, you may do well in a seminar at Evergreen State College, but in the real world, people like cops, and they want the cops to have the money they need and the support they need. I mean, some of it's not even money, John. It's just tell a cop he's doing a good job. I mean, look him in the eye and thank him or her when you see him at a Starbucks or a Safeway or whatever.
So last word on this, Representative Walsh, does this open the door for mainstream Republicans to actually get elected now?
I believe it does. And, John, your staff didn't help me by getting me in a jam
That's
with
not my
the
staff.
Public Disclosure Commission by saying I had announced something I had not actually announced.
That was not
It
me.
was very clever. It was very well done. It was true to the substance of what we talked about. But I just figure you guys are trying to get me in deeper water with the PDC. By the way, I'm not in deep water with. I just wrote them a statement for a rule change they're doing that supports them, and so we're all friends now.
Okay. So the answer to the question is yes. Now people will go, hey, maybe we shouldn't put all our eggs into one basket and have radical left legislators writing laws that say parents don't have the right to know and cops can't be supported. So this opens the door for you, Mr. Walsh, to get some good people in there to push back in the other direction. Yes?
And yeah, it absolutely does. And it's going to. And I mean, look, if you're a liberal person living in Seattle, living in Washington, what's happening now to your side of the aisle politically isn't healthy for you.
Right.
It's not like liberalism in a good, open-minded, traditional notion of what liberal is. It's rigid, angry ideologues. They aren't helping you. They're hurting you. So let's diversify the portfolio a little bit. And I think you'll see even the reasonable progressives kind of get their footing back under them and not be doing all this clown stuff like they're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, from your mouth to God's ears. All right, Mr. Walsh, thanks for your time.